All right. I think we're live. I think. What's going on? For those just joining, or for those joining later, for those who are watching this later, hit subscribe. I go live every weekday. Welcome to the struggle. I am Rob. We also talk about class war stuff. Interesting articles this weekend about drug use, Elon Musk, billionaires in Silicon Valley. And it's fascinating that the one good thing billionaires may do for society is normalize drug use. Maybe help strip the bias off of the use of drugs, the use of certain drugs, the use of drugs for therapy. And if that's something that they can contribute to society, I'm all for it. I think the stigma on people who do use drugs is a horrible thing. And we'll talk about it in a second. We'll talk about Elon Musk's prescription that he tweeted about, talked to Don Lemon about in an interview recently. But before we get into that, everybody who has subscribed to the channel, welcome to the family. Thank you so much. It's been the silver lining for me in this time that it really trying time for my family. It's been absolutely brutal. But God's carrying me. God's carried me through. And those silver linings I look for every day, and people who have subscribed to the channel, I appreciate you so much. I can't thank you enough. Just make sure you hit the little notification bell if you have subscribed or you do subscribe. Bitcoin. What's up, the pothead? Nice name. Or is it the Potheed? Oh, the Potheed. You're going to love this conversation. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about drug use in Silicon Valley. But before we get into that, I was listening to some Michael Jackson early this morning. And if anybody remembers Michael Jackson, he was the king of pop. There was no one bigger than Jackson. I think Nirvana knocked him off the top Billboard charts. So that says something about Nirvana and Kurt. But for a long time, Michael Jackson was making these hits, doing these songs. And his song this morning came on my playlist, Heal the World. And I thought, what an incredible moment in music where people were writing songs where the dude, no bigger celebrity, Michael Jackson, was writing songs about trying to heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the whole entire human race. There were people dying. If you care enough for the living, make this world a better place. And I was listening to it and I thought, how impactful. When you got the man who, there's nobody bigger in society, Michael Jackson, writing songs called Heal the World. He made songs about racism, black or white. I guess if Michael Jackson was alive and making those songs today, they'd call him woke. But he was doing this in the 80s and 90s through the early 2000s. And I was thinking about, do we have anybody in pop culture like that today? I think Taylor Swift, we would all have to agree, is like the only comparable act, right? Her Eras Tour, she's just everywhere. There's no bigger celebrity than Taylor Swift. Maybe there is. Leave it in the comments if there's a bigger one than Taylor Swift. I know Beyonce, yada, yada, yada. Beyonce's like, she hides away forever and then she comes out and it's a big event. Taylor Swift is always out there, making music like Jackson did. You know, he was constantly pumping out these gems of an album. I thought Taylor Swift has done some cool, like, pro-women, some feminist songs, but most of her stuff is like heartache, breakup, you done me wrong, I'll do you wrong, I broke a boy's heart. There's not many like social commentary songs that she does. And it's funny that like a lot of people freaked out over the Super Bowl and that she was gonna tell people to vote. But I thought, like, God, we're lacking, I hate to say it, Michael Jackson, but somebody who has a social conscience, that is an artist that can write these songs, that can perform these songs, that can have a message in their songs that aren't just about breakup or how much money you have. It sucks. I would love to see Taylor Swift write something like Michael Jackson did. I mean, there's nobody bigger than Taylor right now. Michael Jackson was writing songs called Heal the World. My God. And it bugged me. And then I started thinking about how many adults, how many boomers, Gen X, are watching these Fox News, these weird channels that are just so far out. They're like, the immigrants are coming to vaccinate your kids. They say the most outlandish stuff, and people aren't fact-checking nothing, and the news entertainment, they're entertainment channels, you know, they're not news. They don't have to fact-check anything, because illegally in court documents, they said, we're like the WWE, we're just for entertainment. And that's, you can look it up. In the court documents, when they got sued, they were like, we are just entertainment. We are not a news channel, even though it's in their name. I thought, why don't we have like a totally progressive channel like that? CNN is not that. CNN is like highly middle, almost as right as Fox News. They just don't say outlandish stuff. We need a real network like the one I'm trying to do here, the Class War, the Struggle. I'm trying not to go outlandish, and maybe I should. Maybe I should say, you know, like if we the people all get together, we can have homes again. We can eat strawberries and steak for supper. It won't be unaffordable. These CEOs, the Kellogg CEO, won't be telling us if we can't afford regular food to eat his cereal, which he's raised the price 17% on. We can have steak again for supper. And if we don't stick together, we'll all be cyborgs, punching in with our chips in our hands. That's what they want. They want chips in our skulls, so when we go to work, we don't even have to clock in. And they know how much productivity we're doing because they're monitoring our minds. Why don't we have a fear, like a progressive, positive fear? Positive fear, I'll read the comments in a second. Why don't we have like a progressive, positive outlet like that, like a media outlet? Where they're like, if the people don't come together, we're never going to be able to buy homes again. What do you just want to rent? If we at least come together, we can, who knows, have ice cream every night of the week. Just crazy promises. You know, we'll all be able to fly first class. Everybody will be taking Emirates Airlines, sitting in those private seats. A pool in everyone's backyard. It's the only way. Solidarity is the only way to get a porch, a barbecue, and a pool in your backyard. I'm going to think that up, and I'll start doing that here on the Class War and the Struggle. Sorry, I get hair all over me. Seha, what's up, man? I knew the music died back when Gundam Style became the #1 downloaded song. Amen. And you know what? It's just like a way to people numb out and forget how much society sucks right now. But when you think about that, right? And I'm going to get into the Elon Musk drug prescription in a minute. Oh, God. Real quick, I hate that like Elon Musk can say like, oh, it makes me more productive, I take drugs, it's a prescription, and like he gets to do it, but I guarantee if his workers were like, oh yeah, I do drugs and it makes me more productive, he would fire them. Anyways, it was just so weird. If you haven't listened to Michael Jackson's Heal the World or any of his old albums, go back and listen because he had a message. He had so many messages, and I think that's what's lacking. Michael Jackson, if you know anything about how he grew up, his dad was mean, brutal, abusive, and he didn't have a childhood, so he knew the struggle, and they were poor too, so he knew. Michael Jackson, like that's the one thing I always say. Somebody who truly struggles has the empathy that comes from that struggle. It doesn't turn everyone cold, and a lot of the times like they can relate to others going through it. And you saw that in Michael Jackson's music. A man who has billions of dollars, who shops in like the craziest malls and shuts down the mall when he wants to go shopping and just points at stuff and buys it, doesn't lose touch with the empathy in his roots. And that's what Michael did. That's why he was writing songs like Heal the World. He didn't write a song like they shut down the mall when I go shopping. He didn't write songs like that. And that's what Taylor Swift is doing at Beyonce. They're like writing songs about how much money they have and how nothing can faze them because, you know, they don't care. The Potheed, your dollar's collapsing, man. That's why prices are rising. The best chance to lower income people have is trading their dollars for crypto. Jesus. But is this just a crypto scam? Are you like selling Logan Paul's crypto eggs? The dollar's collapsing because the billionaires have all of it. They're hoarding our money. And when we have none to spend, and billionaires are using it for the dumbest stuff, it becomes what? Is anything worth anything if 3 people have cajillions of dollars? No scam. Listen, I respect the Bitcoin game, and I had an opportunity to get in when it was $600 for 1 Bitcoin, and I skipped it, and I'll never forget, and I'll always regret. But I don't think Bitcoin is the answer. I think if you don't know, our economy is 70% purchasing power. That means consumers need to have purchasing power. If you see small businesses collapsing, it's because Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates don't shop at the supermarket. They don't shop at the corner store. They don't come into our communities. Any CEO, any upper management, they are not spending time in our communities reinvesting the dollars. They're siphoning the money from the workers. 70% of our local economies does not have the money to function, and you see a collapse. It's just that, I mean, it's common sense. I know that people love to yell at me, take an Econ 101 course. And I go, do you not see what's happening? Do you not see? Everybody has to shop at Walmart. And the people at Walmart can't even afford to shop at Walmart. So they got to get food stamps because they're not paid enough to even shop at Walmart. And it's very common. It's such a common sense thing that it's shocking that people want to blame it on I don't know what. Anything other than the few people hoarding all the money. They have all the money in the world. Like their great grandkids couldn't spend that amount of money. Yeah. The Potheed. Just do some research. It's free to learn. You're right. I spend my time doing research on how we can better our situation and our neighbors. I respect the Bitcoin thing. I watch it, and I got friends that are in it, but gold and silver. All right. So Elon Musk, I don't know if you guys seen this. Don Lemon did an interview with him where Elon admits, even though he put it on Twitter, there had been leaked reports too that his investors were concerned that he was doing K. The dollar trades at 104. The prices are effed because corporations are greedy, companies are failing, and small businesses because they are pricing themselves out of customers. 100%. That's it. It's that simple. They price them. Like I always say, like if they don't pay us more and they keep raising the prices, who's going to buy stuff to keep them rich? Common sense right there. It's weird that they don't see that. Like they're going to price us out of stuff. We can't buy it. They don't pay us enough to be able to afford it. It's just like when workers in a union go on strike. The company hates that because if they stop working, the higher-ups don't get paid. If there's nobody to labor, there's no wealth to create. That's why they try to avoid a strike. It's the same thing. It's almost a consumer strike. But unfortunately, it's not, it's not a choice. It's we can't buy your stuff anymore. That's why the Wall Street Journal created the term rich session last fall. Because they're like, oh, even the rich aren't buying our stuff anymore. I'll check out all this stuff. I really want to get into this Elon Musk thing real quick. Because Elon admits he has he admits he uses K, right? His investors were concerned about his drug use. He then in the Don Lemon interview, he says, I have a prescription for it. Which, by the way, that's wild. I get Reddit ads all the time to get a prescription for K, which I don't even know is legal. And I've looked it up. I've dabbled in looking it up and call places. In every state, you can't do it. In fact, I think a majority of the states. So, of course, for him to be a worldwide traveler, I'm sure he has a legit prescription, but in what states is it really legal? But it's just interesting that for years, there was a drug war. For decades. I'm a veteran of the drug war. My friends are veterans of the drug war. Everybody did their time. And for decades, it was taboo. There was a stigma. People were looked down upon. They were called names. They were outcasts from society. You had to take drug tests to get a job. Does Elon Musk have to take a drug test to keep working? And all this stuff, all these hoops poor people had to jump through. And then the billionaires in Silicon Valley and Elon Musk discover, because I'm imagining he discovered it was awesome and it helped, which, listen, I'm a former addict, so you don't have to tell me about the amazingness of drugs. They can be too amazing and too scary. But all of a sudden, like, it's just acceptable. Like, it's besides his investors who are only worried about their own money. Like, there's not many people like calling him a druggie or, you know, anything, any kind of backlash. In fact, the articles that you can read in the Business Insider are just about how in Silicon Valley this is normalized that drug use, prescription K. You see psychedelics, mushrooms being microdosed all the time. And it's just wild to me. And I think that's the one good thing billionaires can do. They can normalize this stuff. They can push it forward. And if they really want to, they could probably even fund its legality, you know, buy off the politicians to push forward this stuff. And I've been a proponent for this stuff for years, especially cannabis. It's amazing to me in one state you're a patient and then in another state you're a criminal. That's effing backwards. But the fact that these billionaires might even drug test their employees or not want their employees to do it when they themselves are saying it makes them more productive. That they themselves have admitted. It's like, hey, Elon Musk said, I can get really depressed and this helps keep me from depression. Which, let me just tell you, as somebody who's seen people on K, that can mess you up too. You really got to have the right dosage there. But I think there's been fantastic things with MDMA, psilocybin, and microdosing that I forget what states it's been in, but they were doing it with veterans and people who had PTSD, and they were showing that it works. It has breakthroughs. Why do you think people travel to other countries? There's even a place in Tennessee or somewhere in the South where they do ayahuasca. And they do these because it's spiritual, it's cleansing, it can really truly help you if done in the right way. Again, I'm not saying like loosey-goosey, everybody can just go all Fire Festival here. You know, I'm not talking about Woodstock. I'm talking about, you know, under a doctor's orders. I'm talking about in a way that, you know, you still, like Elon Musk claims, you still do a lot of work. He claims like, oh, if I took too much, I wouldn't be able to work. I got to work 16 hours a day, which I'm sure you do. I'm sure like half that time isn't flying around on a private jet. I'd like to... Somebody should follow him with a camera and see what his day entails. He's got, what, 6 hours? 6 hours blocked off for Twitter. The guy's always on Twitter, always. I mean, I get alerts for when he tweets, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, is this guy at work? Who's his boss? The shareholders. Oh, man. All right, sorry, I haven't been... The Potheed, you sub. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And everybody else that may be joining or hasn't subscribed, please do. It means the world to me. It's been my silver lining lately in this traumatic time my family's going through. And make sure you hit the notification because the Potheed, I know it's the pothead. What's that joke? I forget where that comes from. The Potheed. Is that Family Guy? Somebody did a joke like that. I don't remember, but I loved it. So hit the notification bell. Thank you for subbing in this trying time of mine. This little outlet and this little family is rad, and I love the conversation, man. The crypto conversation I think is an important one, especially Bitcoin. There's a lot of other things out there that are very dangerous. I don't know if you guys watch CoffeeZilla on YouTube, but he looks into crypto scams. CoffeeZilla's channel is amazing. And that just, you know, that freaks me out because a lot of people get taken and they have this hope on like, oh, this is going to be my fix. And I think, you know, a lot of people lose so much, but I think you got to do your research. You got to know what you're getting into. I agree with you. The Potheed. But it's just incredible that how Elon Musk may normalize microdosing certain drugs to be used as medication. It's the weirdest thing in the world for me to say, like, this might be something billionaires could do a solid for society. because I just don't think the stigma should be there. I think the war on drugs has clearly not only been a lie. Nixon's administration admitted, like they were like, we knew when we scheduled cannabis as a Schedule 1 most addictive, no medical, we knew we were just trying to put black people in jail. Like they clearly lied about that. They needed to weaponize something to put the Black Panthers, the Weather Underground, the SDS, the Yippies, the hippies. They needed something to weaponize so they could put all the counter culture, the revolutionaries, their enemies. You know, it was a political war, psychological war, and they put a lot of people in prison, man, over the years. And you think about it, it's such a shocking thing. You think about how many people spent their life in prison, and now today they would have just been a medical patient. So that's what your country can do for you. They can just make something illegal just to throw you away because they don't like what you're saying, because they're scared of you. And that shows that we have the power. The Pothy, don't invest if you don't take time to learn. 100%, that's the best advice right there. In the comments, the Pothy, the pothead, said don't invest if you're not going to take the time to learn. And I 100% agree. You need, especially if you're putting a large sum, or treat it like gambling. Somebody always told me, if you're going to gamble, bring the money that you can afford to throw away. So if you're not going to learn about it, then yeah, use the money that you can afford to throw away. So I don't know how people feel about Silicon Valley and Elon Musk doing K. The other thing that really bugs me is the way Elon treats his workers. I just hate the hypocrisy that if his workers came to him and said, I'm depressed, I got a prescription for K, I don't know, and it would be fascinating to test this out as a social experiment, that if one of Elon's workers, because one of Elon's workers around here just wanted to put an air conditioning in the garage that's at the Tesla factory or Tesla shop in our town, and he fired him because the guy was trying to unionize just to get AC in the garage when they were working. So, I mean, I wonder if this guy, one of his workers came to him with the same story. I got a prescription, I kind of get depressed, it helps me work. Obviously, you ask people. Elon Musk asks his workers to sleep on the whatever it is, the line. I'm forgetting the word, the industrial line, whatever it's called. He asked them to sleep. Even at Twitter, he said you could sleep in the office. Now imagine if someone came to him and said, well, you're asking us to do long days. I got the prescription. I'm pretty depressed. I wonder if Elon, if he heard his own story, if he would be like, oh yeah, I get it. Me too. Because that's the stuff that, really chaps my hide. Do what I say, not what I do. Man. It's weird to think that these guys doing K, prescription K, could kind of normalize it, because so many people, I don't know why people idolize this guy. If you look into his past, he's not an engineer. He has no no technology degree. He's been embarrassed by people on Twitter in these live spaces when he's talking about the stacks are messed up, or he says stuff on Twitter. I mean, so he's not a brilliant dude. He's just a dude, okay, who parlayed his wealth buying companies. He's a rich kid that parlayed his wealth, okay? He didn't invent Tesla, not one of the founders. He didn't invent PayPal, he's not one of the founders. He basically bought his way into every situation, but people idolize him. So I wonder if they hear about his prescription K use, if they'll accept it. And I wonder if they'll accept other people if they do it. Or like specifically with like veterans and people with PTSD, there is a huge push right now in science that's saying, microdosing psilocybin, MDMA, acid. I haven't really heard of the ketamine thing, although in my Reddit feed, maybe it's just me, is this weird? In my Reddit feed, like every other ad is like, you can get a prescription for K. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Is Reddit, hello? Is Reddit listening to me? They hear I'm depressed? How would they keep trying to tell me to get a K prescription? I'm like, I don't want one. Jeez, I've seen what that could do when I was in high school. Man, I've seen people in K-holes. That was the most terrifying thing ever. Never want to do that. Jesus. But you know, a billionaire has handlers. He's got people around him. Just like when you go on a psilocybin trip, when you do a magic mushroom trip, you got to have that one person who leads the way. It's like a Sherpa. You know, you got to have a magic mushroom Sherpa if you're going to go on that trip. You got to have one person who's the established, leader who can bring you through. Almost like a medicine man. You know, you just got to have, at least when I was growing up, we all had that. I was usually the one. I had this glass weight that was just like this magical, it was blown glass, cool design inside, you could get lost in it. That's right, the pothete, all natural. And it's got amazing healing properties when used correctly. I mean, it really is a spiritual moment, and I think it can help you through certain very traumatic instances. And I know there's a company, I can't remember the company. I have a few investments in these companies that are pushing, even one of the Shark Tank guys, I forget who, I don't know if it's Mark Cuban or one of them, but they even invested in it. And they were like, this is the future of medicine. They see the results. It's just pushing it through the legality. Once they started that drug war, everything got froze up. And I mean, even if you look at like the origins of some of these, the MDMA and stuff like that, it was meant for psychological help. So it's trip alonger. I don't know if that was a joke, but let's see, the pothete I used to this system was against me, and rich people were bad, never made nothing, then found crypto and it was changed. Hey, that's awesome, man, if that helps you. I don't think it can help everyone, and that's why I fight. That's why this class war, this struggle live stream fights for a broader thing. What I always say to people when they're like, oh, if you work at a coffee shop, you shouldn't be paid anymore. I always ask people, if adults are working full-time jobs, should they not be able to afford to live? I think that's just the bare necessity of this alleged great land of the free. I don't think any adult working full-time should not be able to put a roof over their head or food on their table. Call me nuts. That's the craziest thing, is like people think that's bizarre and nuts. People love to advocate for poverty as long as it doesn't hit them. And whether or not I'm in it or not, I think it's highly unacceptable for this alleged great nation to allow adults working full-time to struggle to survive. And when people always say, get a second job, I had a second job, I like to tell them, you think I can work 2 jobs at once? If I could punch into 2 jobs and get paid, then that'd be fine. But if you get a second job, you're just working longer. You're not making any more. All these jobs pay the same. These corporations have price rigged the labor market. They all pay essentially the same thing. So you just go from one low paying job to another, and you just keep staying in that trap. You just spend more of your life making other people wealthy. So that's what I fight for. I fight for the change in the system. Well, let's be honest, burn the system down. This system sucks, it doesn't work, and the wealthy people that are controlling it don't want any change because they're living fat. But I fight for, normal things, like people that work should be able to have a home. That's nuts. But Michael Jackson agreed. He thought we should heal the world. He wanted to make it a better place. And I'm trying to embody that vision, Michael. And I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And I'm challenging Taylor Swift to write a song like that. I think she's scared of being canceled, or not canceled, but the backlash. That's the problem nowadays. Every celebrity wants to capitalize on everything. So they don't want anything even remotely, a whiff of controversial or a whiff of one side or another. I heard someone say that to Bill Burr in an interview. They said, you know what I love about you? You give it to the left and to the right. I thought, that's the stupidest thing in the world, Bill. You know there's some injustices in this world, and I don't think you should take it easy on those. But they do it so they can fill the room, and that sucks. All right, I got to wrap it up. Education is key. More of us have to get out in order to reach back. Pothi, amazing point. And that's why I fight for free education, because we need to be educated, and we've allowed too many of our school systems, from higher education all the way down to kindergarten, to just be decimated. You know, colleges used to be funded mostly by the states, by the government. And then it went to for-profit, and the government stopped funding it as much, and they had to charge us more. And I'm telling you, man, if you get $50K a year in New York or California, you ain't got a pot to piss in. That's 100%. Listen, if you look up any of those things, say where it says like how much is 100,000 in Boston, 100,000 in Boston is like 50,000. So you're so right. And me, I work at Starbucks, so I get $16.48 an hour. I work there for the healthcare, and I say that because they take 70 to 80%. I just posted this on my Twitter. They take 70 to 80% out for my healthcare, then for taxes, and I'm left with maybe $5 an hour. That's the other thing, when people are like, oh, you work at Starbucks, you shouldn't make any more than $16 an hour. I go, you do understand. Wait, at your job, do you just get to take home all the money? You do understand I got to pay tax. Like, that's not the flat level. I'm still paying taxes, and higher taxes than Jeff Bezos, let's face it, all right? I pay more taxes than Amazon, more taxes than most of these corporations, and I'm not using half the resources they are. Amazon, I see like 6 trucks going down the same street at once. Why do you think we got so many potholes? Not just because of the snow, because them big dumbass trucks are going down every 3 seconds. But I share all this, and I talk about, because listen, a lot of people make fun of me. A lot of people give me a hard time. A lot of people say I'm not worth it. And I think I am. I think anybody working, not just me, but anybody working as an adult should be able to take care of their kids, have food on their table, and be able to keep a roof over their head. And that's, not popular nowadays, but I'll never stop saying it. And I'll never stop. I've testified at the Massachusetts State House. I've fought to unionize Starbucks, and they're bending the knee and coming to the table in April. And I've done more, and I won't stop, because it's not just me. There are plenty of people. And when I was working on radio, I made a decent amount of money, but I still felt that no parent should have to work. I know parents that are working 2 jobs never get to see their kids. Their kids go to after-school programs. They do all these things, and they've talked to me about how traumatic it is for the kids to grow up and them not be there, because they're just trying to make sure those kids can eat and have a place to sleep. What is the American dream anymore? To maybe afford cereal for dinner? That's what the Kellogg CEO said. If you didn't catch that interview, I talked about it on here. But the Kellogg CEO literally said, if food's too expensive for supper, eat our Kellogg's cornflakes. He said, eat cereal for dinner. What he didn't tell you is he's raised the cereal prices 17%. I think it was 17.4% over the past year. So we can't even afford just cereal. What's his name? Kirk something. You fucking nerd. Telling people to eat cereal for dinner. And that's what I mean. Like, is that the American dream? Cereal for dinner? Only renting a home, cereal for dinner, have no savings, and you go into medical debt if anything happens. People need to wake up, man. Michael Jackson would have hated this. Michael Jackson didn't write Heal the World so we could be here. And he was like probably the first billionaire, And that dude was always trying to give back. He had a circus at his house where he had kids go for free. I don't know what happened after that, but he was trying to give back. And if not, he was at least writing songs that were socially aware and had a conscience. Taylor Swift, Beyonce, do it. Challenge you. All right, I got a piece. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell. I love you if you have joined this family. It means so much to me. I cannot thank you enough. Because I'm going to bring you something about the struggle every day, and hopefully it's entertaining. But think about that. Think about Michael Jackson. Go back and listen to his songs. See how woke he was and what he wanted for the future. It was a beautiful time in music. I don't know what happened. It's all about lean and how much money you got. There's no one that's socially aware anymore. We're lacking that in our culture, in our entertainment. All right. Peace.